Good morning, Knicks Nation. Today is Wednesday, the 17th day of May 2023. I hope you're all safe and healthy today, that your family's safe and healthy, and that the needs of you and your family in terms of food, shelter, clothing, as well as health are being met today. Blessings upon those that work in the healthcare field, along with the first responders, who every day are saving lives, and those that pick up garbage, keep our streets and places clean and disease-free, and those that make deliveries such as mail, food, water for our convenience. Double blessings on the men and women that are out here trying to help rescue, deliver, and recover the teenagers and the children that are the victims of child molestation and pedophilia. The victims also of pornography and child pornography. The victims of human trafficking and sex slavery. Double curses on the perpetrators of these things. Double curses on those that profit from these things. And double curses on the perverts who create the demand of which the other perverts provide the supply. Finally, blessings upon the homeless. There are nearly 600,000 men, women, and mostly children on the streets of the United States of America, and millions around the world in similar or worse conditions. Blessings upon, for theirs is the kingdom. Today I want to talk about Toppin. First off, a few happenings in the NBA, as we are all aware probably, if you're not. Doc Rivers was fired by the Philadelphia 76ers yesterday. And there's talk of, is obviously a coaching opening, and there's talk of a whole bunch of different coaches. Daryl Morey is president of basketball operations and a GM there, and he has a history with Mike D'Antoni. Problem is, Joel Embiid wouldn't really fit with Mike D'Antoni. Of course, James Harden would. That's interesting. Now, as far as the Knicks and Embiid, let's make a baseline in terms of trades with the Knicks. I know people come up with all kinds of scenarios, anything literally that you can imagine. But really, there's only one piece I'd like to change on the Knicks, and that's Julius Randle. And that's the only piece I really want to change. I mean, really want to change. There's nobody else on the team I'd care to lose. I'd like to keep everybody else if I could just move Julius Randle. Okay? Now, we have some dead money with Derrick Rose, which is, he's going to be unrestricted. So that's going off the books naturally, organically. And then there's 1 year of $19 million with Evan Fournier. So you must try to move Fournier as well. Fournier doesn't have a place on this team because of his lack on the defensive end, and because we have a lot of young players that we don't want to sacrifice their minutes to get Fournier on the court. He's not that good. Okay, that we got to sacrifice Grimes' minutes or Hart's minutes or even Deuce's minutes to get him on the floor. So they got to move Fournier to a team that fits better with him. So now those are really the only players, in my view, that I want to move. Then we talked about Emmanuel Quickley, who, it's just because of the fact that he's too good. He's really too good to stay on the bench if given opportunity to start. He will thrive if given opportunity to start. Eventually he will put up really nice numbers. He will help his team win. And that's one of the things. If you look at his stats, and that's what a lot of people don't do. They talk about what they feel when they watch him, and I hear that. But you want to get some stats to back up how you feel. With Emmanuel Quickley, almost every combination he's with on the floor, just about everyone, but not all, his team is positive with him on the floor. So that shows he's kind of a winner type of player, all right? And so he's going to make some team very happy as they start in point guard. It just won't be the Knicks because the Knicks are committed to Jalen Brunson. And so because of that, Quickley will not be a starter here. Now, if he agrees to remain as the sixth man for the next 4 years, he'll stay. Okay, the Knicks will pay him. It's not about the money here. Some of y'all missing that. It's not about the money. Is he happy to stay in New York being second fiddle to Jalen Brunson? That's what you got to ask yourself. Whether you think or I think he's a starter or not is irrelevant. It really is. I happen to think he is, and if you don't, okay, you don't. But the most important thing is he thinks he is. And even just as important, there are GMs in the NBA that think he is. So now he has the option of demanding a trade. Yes, they have his rights to next season. They could wait. But you don't want to do that if you're the Knicks, because The new cap comes in next year. It's gonna be hard to move players. People are gonna be doing a lot of movement this year to try to get stuff off their books. Okay, including the Knicks. You don't want to be in a bidding war in a restricted free agent situation with Emmanuel quickly. Okay, so you're gonna have to move him soon and get what you can for him, and there'll be a bidding for him because, like I said, no matter what you or I think, there are teams out there that will believe that he can be their starter and give him the keys. Okay, so the question again comes down to very simple, not my emotions, not yours. What it comes down to, does Emmanuel Quickley mind being the sixth man in the New York Knicks for the next 4 years? Because if you're talking about the money, most players, except for just a very top of the pile, like your Giannis's and your LeBron, most players want 4-year deals or 5-year deals. 4-year deals preferably, because it's enough that you can guarantee it generational wealth. And that's what happens with these guys. They get generational wealth and they're still young enough or flexible enough to make a move. A guy like a LeBron or a Kawhi or a Giannis, they might take 1-2-year deals because every year they're going to get the max, right? And they're not worried about, they got enough money for generational wealth, so they're not worried about that. So every year they're pushing the team that has them to get the best, to do the best that they can to win. And that's the pressure, but that's a different scenario. With Emmanuel Quickley, he wants a 4-year deal. He's not going to take a 2-year deal. Okay, so he wants 4 years. Is he willing to be behind Brunson for 4 years? Or does he want to start now? Okay, and I'm telling y'all, it's the latter. He wants to start now. And I'm also telling y'all, he should. And I'm also telling y'all, there are other teams that believe that. Okay, now let's talk about Obi. He's similar to Quickley in that they were drafted in the same year, but their situations are completely different. Okay, their situations are completely different. Obi has not publicly made any statement, as Quickley has, about starting. He has not complained about his role, though I would have expected him to at least rumble about it, getting more than 10 to 15 minutes a game. But obviously he will not get that because Julius Randle is a starter at the power forward spot, and whoever is starting is going to get at least 30 minutes, 28 minutes, 30 minutes a game under Tom Thibodeau, not leaving much for a backup. Okay, that's just how it is. All right. Well, Obi, I just looked at some of his numbers and see I heard some people talk about Obi Toppin. Like it's been a little bit annoying because his first year, all he could do, according to certain people, all he could do is dunk. His second year, he improved his 3-point shot and all he can do is dunk and shoot threes. His third year, all he can do is dunk and shoot threes and leak out. And he can't rebound. All of that's bull crap. Bull crap. All of it. Cow chips. If Obi Toppin gets minutes on a consistent basis, he's an all-star level player or borderline. I went through his numbers, and we don't have a lot to work with because of the limited time he gets to play. But last year, the 21-22 season, and I looked at those games where Obi got at least 10 shots. Because if you can give a guy at least 10 shots in a game, he's really more involved in the game. You know, especially a guy like Obi Toppin, what I'm saying is that he needs more minutes. So the 10 shots that he can get, if he was a starter, that's more, likely he would get at least 10 shots a game. So that's a low bar, but I wanted to show that. So he had 13 games in 21-22 season where he got at least 10 shots in the game. Okay, and the Knicks were 8-5 in those 13 games. And in those 13 games where he got at least 10 shots, he was averaging 30 minutes per game. Per game, he was +6. The Knicks were +6. He shot 34% from three. This is 21-22. That's not this past year. This is the year before. And he averaged 20 points a game. And as we're probably aware, his high game for that season was when he dropped 42 at the end of the season. So 13 games, he had at least 10 shots. He had 30 minutes a game. The Knicks were +6 with him on the floor. He shot 34% from three, and he averaged 20 points a game. Okay, those numbers are not, well, they're good. They're not great. You'd like to see him shoot better from three, but they're really good though. 20 points a game plus 6, you're 8-5. Now, as a starter that year, they were 5-5 when Obi started the game. Regardless of how many shots, I just wanted to see what they were looking like when he started. He didn't always get 10 shots as a starter, but they were 5-5 that year. Let's go to this year. This year, when Obi got at least 10 shots, there were only 8 games where he got at least 10 shots. Okay, there were only 8 games. In those 8 games, he got 27 minutes per game. They were plus 12. He shot 41% from 3. And he averaged 21 points a game. And his high game was 34. So, it's pretty consistent, except he's improved in the 3-point, which we've all seen. If you're watching, you've seen he's improved his 3-point shot. So then I'm hearing somebody say he doesn't go to the basket enough. If you're actually paying attention to Tom Thibodeau's offense, it's built around Randle, Brunson, Randle, and RJ. The other 2 guys on the floor are not involved. Okay, they're just not. So, and if Brunson is playing in the second unit and Barrett is playing in the second unit, guess what? They're taking most of the shots. Okay, so for anybody to be talking about, well, Obi only shoots 3, you got to understand, if you don't understand, that's how the offense is built. It's not built for everybody to touch the rock. And especially not built for everybody to get shots. But if you started Obi Toppin, I'm telling you, you would get 21 points a game. You would get you would get almost 40% shooting from 3. You would get better defense. You would get no attitude. You'd know what you were getting every game as far as his attitude. Okay? That's if Obi Toppin started. Now, I talked about Kristaps Porzingis. Somebody would say, well, then Kristaps would be starting in front of Obi. Yes, but I think we understand Kristaps is not going to be as durable as Julius Randle is. Okay? He's not going to be that brick doo-doo house. That's not him. But I'm thinking if we could get 50, 55 starts out of KP, that gives Obi 30 starts, between 30, 35 starts, and you get that production from him. Not only that, even when Kristaps plays, he's not going to be playing 35, 40 minutes every night. He's probably playing 25 minutes, 26 minutes. Now you're going to get 20 minutes a game for Obi then. So you'll get more out of him. Some of y'all need to understand this too. I know people have these preconceived notions about Tom Thibodeau, which I find very amusing sometimes. But if you actually listen to what he says, he asks the player, especially if it's a veteran, are you feeling good? Do you want to go? Then he talks to the medical staff. There are times when the player says, I want to go and I want to stay in the game, when the medical staff says you can't. No, you can't do that. And Tom won't play him or will cut the minutes. That's how he does things, because in this day and age, the way the NBA is, if you play a player when the medical staff is telling you not to play him and he hurts himself where that it's career threatening, you could get sued. So they have to check with the medical staff. And that's why he'll say, we'll see how he feels tomorrow, or what the medical people say, because he has to ask them. And some of you say, well, why he played Julius Randle so many minutes? Because he believes when he asks Julius Randle, can you go? And Julius says yes, he'll keep him out there. Okay? So it's up to the player and the coach. It's not like a dictatorial situation. Although he's tough on far as defense, and he's real tough on younger players, as we know, when it comes to veterans, he gets their input. Even, I think, more than his assistant coaches, he gets input from the players and from the medical staff. So with KP, if he was, I'm just using this as an example, Obi would get a lot of minutes. He would get opportunities to start, a lot of them. Okay, and although I think he should be, that is, Obi, a full-time starter, I think that would satisfy Obi enough to stay with the Knicks and not look for another team. In Obi's case, they'll probably let the situation go to restrict it, because he's not asking to leave. He just may need a decent contract, but I'm sure his reps want him to get more minutes so that way he can increase his value and get more money. That's the only reason he might get traded this summer. Okay? But I would rather trade Julius Randle. Take his 25 and 10 and send it somewhere and let us get what we can for him and open up minutes for Obi Toppin. Okay, that's what I'm looking right now. So if we got Jeremy Grant, Jeremy Grant would be at that 4 spot. Obi would still get minutes. He would still have opportunities to start. Because Jeremy Grant ain't no 82 game year player. Most guys, I think it's less than, of all the players in the NBA, I think there's less than 15 that have played 82 games. And just probably that same number that played with Randle played 77 games. Most guys are around 60 to 70 games. And so you're going to get more opportunities with most players. Julius Randle's an exception in terms of availability. If he has an elite ability, at least 2, rebounding and availability, because Julius Randle's available. You can't say otherwise. But it's the attitude. It's the mix with his teammates. It's his pecking order. He's not a leader, and he's not built for that. He's built for third option, really. If he want to maximize Juju, his third option, okay? And that would make him lethal, because there is games where Julius Randle can just take over. There is probably, I say, 4 or 5 games a season where he's just feeling it, and he will just take over. If you do that with a third option, your team is good. Right? Because you still got your first option, you still got your second option, and he's your third option. Let's use an example. Let's say he was on the Clippers with Kawhi and Paul George, and they wasn't hurt all the time. So you have Kawhi and Paul George as your first and second option. Let's say Juju was your third option, and he has one of those nights, like 5 times, where he's just gonna take over. They'd feed him the rock, and they'd win the game. See? And then of course you got what they could do. That's what I'm saying. So if you make him a third option on a playoff team, he's lethal at that point. It's a different situation. But to be the first option and have the pressure of being the first option, he's not good. Not because he doesn't have the basketball IQ. He doesn't always have the temperament that you need. Like RJ's inefficient. He's very inefficient. He's also 22, okay? But he has the temperament to handle pressure. Okay, he's much more cool under pressure. He stands up more. He's more self-reflective. As he said, I had a bad game and I'm disappointed in myself. He will tell you. Okay, that's a difference. Whereas Julius won't even talk to the media. Sometimes he'll snap at his own teammates. That's a little bit different. Okay, so Obi, we can't even compare in terms of attitude now. We can't even compare. Obi brings joy. Obi brings energy, okay? And what I'm looking at, Obi will bring production and wins. The Knicks are 6-2 this year when he took at least 10 shots. And he is, as a starter, he's 3-2. He started 5 games this year. They were 3-2. But when he gets at least 10 shots, which I think is more indicative of him as a starter, he would get at least 10 shots a game and play, like I said here, 27 minutes. You're gonna get a 20-point game. You're gonna probably get an 8-rebound game of Amar'e Stoudemire type numbers. You're gonna get better than Amar'e Stoudemire type numbers at the 3-point line. You're gonna get easy shots. You're gonna get at least 2 or 3 easy baskets because he runs the floor like a gazelle. You're gonna get better defense because simple fact that he's gonna put 100% effort on his defense every night. Now, will he make defensive mistakes? Yes. He still does. But he puts 100%. You can't ask more than 100% effort every night, which you don't get from Julius Randle right now. So what I'm saying is that's the only guy I want to replace. And I want to keep, if I can, I'm keeping Obi Toppin. Okay? Because especially now, if we were to get Siakam or OG Anunoby, or there's really only 4 players in my view that really make sense for the Knicks. And that's, again, I'm just only looking to move Julius Randle. And of course, if I could package Evan Fournier, move him too. I'd like to keep Emmanuel quickly, but I'm being real when I'm telling y'all he probably going to go too. So you're talking about Randle, Quickly, and Fournier. And that combination, I'm looking, to me, there's only 4 players that make sense. There is, to me, my number one is KP. I think KP is the best fit. I think the Knicks will win a lot of basketball games and go make a deep run in the playoffs with that kid, because he'd have something to prove coming back to New York. I like Jeremy Grant. I like Pascal Siakam, and then there's OG Anunoby. The problem with Siakam and OG is I don't think either of them are officially available. That's the problem. And then the second thing is, I'm telling y'all, Masai Ujiri is the second coming of Danny Ainge. He's not just looking to win the trade. He's looking to hurt you and win the trade. See? So that would make that a more difficult scenario dealing with the Toronto Raptors. So it depends. I mean, that's a big if. I mean, but that brother will be asking for the world and your firstborn, for a trade. That's what he's going to do. So, but I don't believe, honestly, that even Masai Ujiri would be asking for too much if you're trading Julius Randle. See, because Julius Randle all NBA. And some of y'all already understand, because y'all been saying this every time he has a 30-plus point game. Trading wise value is high. Well, his value is high right now. I mean, as an all NBA player. So you can't be asking for but so much from him, for him. So even Masai Ujiri would be limited. Now, I'm looking at Siakam. Siakam got this year basically $38 million, and he's unrestricted. That's a possibility right there. So yeah. So, and again, if you're trading Julius Randle, you're not, you're giving him equal value, at least statistically. You're giving him equal value. And as far as OG Anunoby, oh goodness, he's at $19 million this year, and he has a player option for 24-25. So basically, he's expiring as well. Well, it looks like those 2 Canadian brothers might be available. So those are the only 4 that I'm looking at. And then his outside shot, I'm looking at Mikal Bridges, but I honestly do not think the Nets are going to trade. I would be shocked if the Nets trade him. If I'm the Nets, I'm building around him, Mikal Bridges, because I think he's a budding superstar. He's already a defensive star. He is now showing he could score. So I'm not trading him, and he's like 25, 26. Please, I'm keeping Mikal Bridges. But if the Nets were stupid enough to trade him, we definitely talk. But really, it's KP, Grant, Pascal Siakam, and OG Anunoby. And OG Anunoby is the last, because I don't feel OG Anunoby is all that. But with the Knicks, if you take out Randle and you put in OG, he's a small 4. Or you could start Obi, or OG, Obi, and RJ could run that threesome on the threesome. I mean, they could run the 3-man rotation between the small forward and the power forward. I think the Knicks would be in good shape there, because OG could play some defense, though. That's the thing. OG and Anunoby could play some defense. Okay, and I know a lot of people tripping about shooting. Knicks need shooting. Knicks need shooting. I'm not as high on that, to be quite honest with you, because I'm extremely confident in the ability of the one young man we talked about yesterday, Mr. Q-Dog Quentin Grimes. I'm not worried about that. And I know I'm extremely confident in Jalen Brunson's ability to shoot the rock. I'm extremely confident in Obi Toppin's ability to shoot the rock. So I'm not worried about shooting. Yes, they need to update their offensive flow, I believe. But I'll leave that to the Knicks and Tom Thibodeau. I'm not going to trip as if... Some guys talk as if they really know what they're talking about. If it was Jeff Van Gundy, right? Or Mark Jackson. Or even, Stan Van Gundy. Or some guy that actually coached in the NBA. If he was saying those things, okay. But for those of us that's never coached or played in the league, to act like we know better than Tom Thibodeau, I find it amusing. It's amazing. But anyway, I'm not as worried about the shooting. To me, if they could, the thing is, in the playoffs, okay, and I love watching playoff basketball. Last night, the Denver Lakers game. Playoff basketball is the best of NBA basketball, and NBA basketball is the best basketball in the world. So you're getting the best in the world in the playoffs of the NBA. And the more you get toward the championship, the better the teams are. But in the playoffs, it comes down to a couple of things. Getting stops, and I always say that getting stops, especially when you need a stop, and possessions, rebounds, which is including with offensive rebounding especially. So those are two big things. Getting stops when you need them. Against the Heat, the Knicks were doing pretty good, but they could not get stops at critical times against a Jimmy Butler. They couldn't get a stop against a Max Strus when they needed it. That's, to me, if they can tighten that up with a defensive wing, we'd be good. Can you imagine? Somebody mentioned it yesterday, but can you imagine? So right now, Mitchell Robinson, when he guards the rim, people know he's there, and just his presence causes shots to be altered. Can you imagine if he comes over to help because you beat your man, but then you got KP behind? And then KP could guard the rim because Mitch is mobile enough to get out to the three-point line and check you. That's what I'm saying to y'all. Defense, man. We need to up the level of defense. And Tom Thibodeau, he knows how to do that. Yes, he might need some help offensively. Maybe they'll talk about that this summer. I'll let them deal with that. But he knows how to do that defensive thing. So we can get a Grant, a KP, a Siakam, a OG, and move a Randle and get one of these guys in here without losing. Like I said, I don't want to lose nobody else. I'm acquiescing on IQ because I'm being real. I need to move Fournier, and I would like to move Julius Randle. If that's all we need to lose, and we can get one of those four gentlemen to come to New York. We don't need no blockbuster. Maybe they call it blockbuster, but the Knicks are going to be rough. And like I said, if you take the exact same team, even with Julius Randle, and run them back next year, exact same team, they're winning 50-plus games. I'm telling you. Okay? But if you do what I just suggested, they're top 4 in the East. Okay? So we're going to see what happens. But Obi, I want to keep Obi. I don't want to trade Obi. I really want to trade Randle. I really want to move Fournier. And I think I have to move Emmanuel quickly because he's outgrown his position. Other than them three brothers, keep the rest of the crew, keep the band intact, and just add another player, and we'll be good. Y'all enjoy your Wednesday. So